So welcome you all for the today's webinar titled as Decoding Youth, the Truth About Skin Aging. So Professor Subbarao, works at the MCB department, and I'm a longevity investigator at the IIC program, which was recently launched at our IIC. So today we have a panel member of 3 members which were chosen. One, Professor Gaurav Ahuja, a molecular and computational biologist from the IIT Delhi. Second, Dr. Anita Damodaran, a senior research manager at Unilever. And Dr. MANOJ SRINIVASA from a renowned dermatologist in our Bangalore, which also works at an associate professor at Satyasai University. Welcome you all. So before we start the webinar, I just want the panelists can introduce themselves for 1 or 2 minutes. It's good, or I can introduce my also panelists. Let me know. Gaurav, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can start, sir. Why not? First of all, thanks for the organizer. And as usual, Subha, happy to see you this time in it as well. So thank you, everyone. And my name is Gaurav. I'm an associate professor at IIIT Delhi. Now, if you see the lab programs, what we are running, they are touching different aspects of longevity as well as toxicology. So we work at an interface using artificial intelligence, playing around with the chemicals by using AI, and try to utilize the knowledge which experimental biologist has been gathering over the years, and how we can model it into the AI so that we can have a better understanding of the chemicals which basically assist us in cellular reprogramming or longevity. My lab works in those space. Thank you.
Excellent. So now, Anita.
Thanks, Subha, and thanks for everybody for joining. I am Anita Damodaran. I'm a senior research manager in Unilever. I'm a immunologist by training, but I have 23 plus years of experience in skin biology, pigmentation, and photobiology. And in Unilever, I have led global projects on skin and hair. Basically, me and my team tried to develop and execute innovative technologies which are aligned to consumers needs in beauty, well-being, and personal care. Yeah, and as Dr. Gaurav, you mentioned, we use all possible science tools to get us what we want to deliver to consumers. Thank you. Yeah.
Excellent. Dr. Manoj. The image is frozen now. Dr. Manoj. So I'll tell about, because while Manoj is joining back again into the system, Dr. Manoj is a well-known dermatologist in Bangalore. So he is currently at Associate Professor and HOD of Dermatology in Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research. And he also a co-faculty at the Center for Human Genetics. But basically he has did its MBBS from the JJM Medical College, Davangere, and then MD at KVH Medical College in Sulia. Then she is practicing as its own clinic and also as a faculty at multiple places. He has both the clinical and also the research orientation in his aspects. So with that, we'll start our today's webinar by introducing, as you guys know about, is the skin is the largest organ of a human body, where people research wise nobody care about it, but anyways in society wise there is a huge crazy for it, the skin, especially when it comes to the skin age, and then skin in terms of maintenance, it becomes a big program in the system. So in any of the case, because the skin made up of the epidermis and dermis, followed by sandwich by melanocytes in the middle layer. So when it comes to the longevity or skin aging aspect consider, so we do consider both total skin as a one organ, especially the dermal, melanocytes, and then epidermal. So what you have observed in the system is only an epidermis. Remember that it's not the bottom layer. You won't see it until unless you go in research level, you will able to see them. So the in terms of the all three of us, first question phases two is that what is meant by skin aging in your own respective field? Please, can you give a brief it up? Gaurav, you start.
So thanks, Subha. I think if you see, I mean, I just classically quote the one of the nice, we call it as Bible for longevity is called Hallmarks of Aging, and that is being compiled by, throughout. I mean, multiple of papers are being cited, the ones which are reproducible. The world is believing in them, and so that is called the Hallmarks of Aging, and it is something which we also see them evolving because if you see the first edition published in Cell 2013 and now it's 2023, three new hallmarks has been added. And that I am anticipating in the next 10 years, again, many new molecular pathways and new hallmarks keeps on increasing. So having said that, I just want to highlight when we talk about aging, it's something what we know is documented, what and many of the things which we don't know. So the idea is the aging is itself is evolving. Many of the pathways which we don't know what they basically elicit because of, and I think they all converge to the complexity of the human body. We have skin cells, as you nicely said. There are different layers, then there are different cells, and each cell has a different cascade of insults what they undergo as we age. For example, when I walk into the scorching heat of Delhi, I am exposed to sunlight, UV exposure. I think Anita could have added a lot on that rather than when you are sitting in Bengaluru. So the idea is we have different, the cells are getting insulted differently. And when they are getting insulted differently, and also like my food habits are different, lifestyle is different. So there is a protective response from the cell. So I think it is something very heterogeneous, but in a layman terms, I could say the age dependent, like temporal, like the temporal degradation in the cellular functionalities, either with insult or without insult, it is going to contribute to aging. And the $1 million question is how we can prevent the insult. That is one part of the game. The second question is how, even the insult is coming, how we can pacify the impact of the insult. That is point number two. And the point number three, which I think which everybody's goal is, even if the system is insulted over the years, can we reverse the insult? That we call it as rejuvenation. So this is how I basically try to put aging into these perspectives. And in each of these, the hallmarks of aging plays a very important role. I think there I stop. Thanks, Subha.
Excellent. Excellent. So, Anita, so what in your aspect in aging means,
Yeah,
especially
so
skin?
yeah, I am in a consumer field, right? So more, I will talk to you in terms of what consumers will feel. Yeah, consumers are looking at is it's basically the loss of the youthfulness that they have seen in their earlier years. So you have all the changes that are happening on the skin, which is basically because of the hallmark of aging, all the molecular and structural changes that are happening underneath in the systemic, which is reflected on the appearance of the skin. Yeah, so that's basically what we are looking at when the consumer looks at their skin. For them, the aging is the loss of youthful appearance that they had in the previous years. And that's where absolutely true what Professor Gaurav mentioned, all the factors, both the internal as well as the external. People who have a great genetic profile, absolutely great. But those who are having a compromised genetic profile, obviously that affects. But in spite of all that, if there is this external factors which are basically accelerating what you would have normally seen. So we are not talking about chronological aging, which is going to happen, but what we are looking at all the changes in the environment and in people's lifestyle, how that is causing these changes and how we can work on it. So it's basically the appearance that we are talking about. Yeah.
Excellent. So, Manoj, You
Hi, sir. Sorry for
perfect.
the yeah.
Don't worry, don't
So
worry. Don't worry about the video, but we can able
yeah,
to hear you very nicely. So
yeah.
in a clinical aspect from your side, what your meaning of a skin aging, what you are realistically looking. I know that both Gaurav and Anita was mentioning of the hallmarks. In addition to these hallmarks, whether at the dermatological level as a doctor or a clinician at your practitioner level, so what you will like to say about aging, skin aging?
Okay. So recently we had a reunion after 20 years of our medical life. 2005, I mean, the batch. So we were meeting after 2025. That was aging for us, after seeing everyone, where the 3Ds were there: descent, deflation, and displacement of whole of the thing, where from medium size, L, XL. See, for us, it's more of a phenotype. And as a dermatologist, you are trained to see faults in other body. We are trained to see. So even my wife always says, "Don't look at my face. You always complain about my pigmentation thing." See, for us, we always categorize into three. I mean, let's focus on face, because it's never-ending subject. Nothing is black and white. It's all gray of aging. So mid face is the upper face, and mid face is the most commonly appreciated area. So in case of upper face, you always see that basically, see, when our skeletal architecture, as we all grow, it shrinks. As good as a tablecloth, suddenly if a table shrinks, the cloth shrinks, I mean, folds. So that is the wrinkles for us. It can happen in your between the eyebrows, around the eyes, or other areas. So it is more of a deflation which has happened. And descent, you see the nasolabial areas where, if you, I mean, this is what we saw, a couple of weeks back. All our pictures where we had a very, ill-defined nasolabial line. Now it's well defined. Everyone, and we have double chin. We have lost the, the V shape. So for us, it's more of an structure, which we say. But as not just that, we also see a lot of pathological conditions like acanthosis nigricans, which is a hallmark of insulin resistance. We never had it at 2005. Now, if you randomly see, I feel like prescribing fasting blood sugar and fasting serum insulin for them to calculate HOMO-AR. So for us, it's more of what is the expression of our journey for the last 20 years. It's a dynamic process. Yeah, that is what we look at. Yeah.
Perfect. So if I understand on together that skin aging in biologically a growth parameter of the skin as in terms of time scale. So, however, this time scale at early age doesn't appear to be bad, but as you go on age progress, the time scale for a skin it appears to be awkward because of the other associated stuff. So if you take a skin aging, because we never consider skin aging as a disease, that's the which I feel, and then I think my committee members are all over my colleagues will appreciate because it's a way which has to go further and then beyond. So in those cases, the parameters generally, what are the influences, whether accelerator aging or delay in aging? Is there any parameters which has been utilized by the system, especially in a form of a genetic or in a form of environmental? Well, there is an influence on them. So, Manoj, you can start with that. Say that the environmental or genetic, which is the debatable in the skin aging field.
Okay, sir. So, I would say it's more of epigenetic factors which plays a major role, because genetics are stable, from day one. It is how you respect your genetic thing. I've seen a lot of my colleagues, my parents look younger than me, my teachers look younger than me. So what is, I mean, whole scenario is, it's about how we handle our whole life. What time you get up, rightly what Gaurav has said and Anita ma'am said. What time you get up. It's a basic thing, sir. You do your right things. Earlier there was no power supply, and people used to eat at 7 o'clock and just sleep. That was the environment what it was there earlier. What we have is 130 is Rameshwaram Cafe and Bangalore, or so Swiggy Zomato. So we have a lot of luxury to be spoiled at. At the same time, it is our responsibility. So I would put more on the epigenetic factor rather than genetics. Of course, habits, and that is no brainer. Everyone knows. Be cautious and responsible with the habits what you have. Yeah.
So if you don't consider it as a genetic, but it's an epigenetic, which is a minor modification comes by the biological reactions within the DNA form, which is generally we know consider as we call it a post-translational modifications, or in terms of protein is a post-translational modifications, and for DNA is a epigenetic modifications what you do. So because the systems, Gaurav, you want to have a comment on it? Say that environmental versus genetic?
So yes, I had something to share because recently we started one project with, I mean, because of the NDA, I can't name one of the biggest companies in beauty, not Unilever for sure, otherwise I would have said, but some other company. So we are working very closely on multiple research projects specifically for the skin, specifically for finding new molecules which can be the part of the formulations. And because of that, we also got access to some of the molecules which are already goes into the system, like many of the products. So I'm not naming the molecules, but when we look into the biological properties of this molecule and try to predict which of the hallmarks they could largely influence, like in a better way, the top hits were epigenetic. So my notions goes very nicely with what Dr. Manoj just said. They are basically trying to counterfeit or counteract the epigenetic modifications getting because of the environmental factors which are external. But one could also not forget about the endogenous changes, like for example the food. It's not always been the sun and the UV which is being exposed to the skin. It's also about what type of things I'm eating. So all in all my thoughts are it's more of a epigenetic sort of thing rather than true genetic, rather I mean changing the nucleotide sequence, but it's basically modifications. Yeah, that's what I will say. Thank you.
Perfect. So, Anita, in your industry, do you believe that epigenetic is the major key, or so you could violate the skin composition by using a small molecular systems, which generally uses for healthiness of the skin?
Yes. So yeah, I completely agree with both the speakers here, that it is a lot dependent on the environmental exposure, so which can be prevented. So we do know that chronologically, when the skin ages, you have loss of collagen structure. And of course, the fibroblasts and the keratinocytes start losing their ability to, rejuvenate, and also its functionality. But what happens is when you are you have sun exposure, unprotected sun exposure, you are actually breaking down the collagen and not initiating such molecular pathways, which does not allow for the skin to repair itself. Yeah. But over chronic exposures or chronic changes, that's where the epigenetic comes into picture, where you have kind of inbuilt all the changes now into your system. Yeah. And the one thing that from an industry point of view, there's a lot of emphasis on protecting yourself from sun, regulating your diet. Sleep is another one that is really important, and the technologies which can work on the phenomena that you have kind of affected because of the environmental exposure that is causing your accelerated skin aging. So that's basically how the industry is looking at. You have changed. I'm talking about the cosmetic industry. Of course, in medical interventions are looking at reversing it, at least for the transient period. Whereas in case of cosmetic, it is more of how you regulate these pathways, or prevent these pathways from happening, so that you can have a healthier and youthful skin for a longer time. Yeah.
No,
Perfect.
they call it as exposome pathways, if
Yes.
I'm not wrong. Yeah.
I got it. I
Yes.
got it. So now Anita introduced the two words. One's called reversal of aging or prevention of aging in terms of longevity ways. So research-wise, reversal of aging is difficult. My feeling is say that the prevention methods are much more have or prevents you or delay the process is one of the best way people are always looked at it. So, Gaurav, in research, what you believe is a good one. You want to reverse it, or you want to do a intervention where you could delay the process?
Great. I mean, I think you asked the most difficult question now. Uh, so I mean, if you really ask me, like, I mean, I just want to give my honest opinion on this, Subha. So the point is, everybody wants reversal because that is more challenging from the scientific point of view, and it's also exciting because I know it, I mean, it will be tough, but it is something which is scientifically more demanding, and
Right.
it gives a good feeling as a scientist. But at the same time, if you historically see some of the classical papers, not with the chemical interventions, but mostly with something called expressing the Yamanaka factors, getting the cells which are already like insulted for years and they wanted to rejuvenate by converting them into local stem cells and then differentiate them in the tissue. All these things, even with the chemicals, people have done it with chemicals, but if you see that in the real world scenario, they all leads to teratomas in the mice. So it means if something which is naturally dying because of the thing and we wanted to revive it, and I think scientifically we can revive it. As recently I was checking last week, now we have new modifications of the Yamanaka factors which have, like with the OpenAI, they collaborated with, they modified the Yamanaka factors, and the efficiency in the cell culture is around 80% in 10 days. It's mind blowing. So the point is we can do this, reversal. But when it goes to clinic and doing it with the patient, at least in the mice, we are getting teratomas and cancer. And because it's just a reintroduction, many of the cells, they undergo uncontrolled proliferations and all that. So it is exciting, but I think something, if you ask me what I want to do, I want to do reversal. But technically, the existing solutions largely are not reversals. They are largely delaying the process. Starting with, if you see metformin, like which is one of the nice, forward moving drug repurposing people are doing. It is for the healthy lifespan, not particularly for the skin. Even if you take multiple or model systems like yeast in C. elegans in Drosophila, if you do the earlier interventions, there is a developmental delay. So it means that everything goes slow. So, and it definitely, if something goes slow during development, you are going to live longer and you are more active. So, I mean, it's more of reversal is a good problem to solve, but reducing or decelerating the aging, it's something many people are doing at the moment. That is my take on it.
Excellent. So, Anita, what is demanding in the market? Whether they want a reversal or they want prevention or intervention?
Reversal is the holy grail. Okay, so we are not we I don't know whether we, as Professor Gaurav said, I don't know whether we will reach there. But what they are looking at is either slowing or preventing. So I mean, it's now so much of information is available. There is at least people are, consumers are knowing that they can prevent, and there are methods and products which can do that. So in our times we didn't have, so obviously we can see all the changes on our skin because of the kind of lifestyle we have had. But now it is there is enough knowledge, so it is possible to extend or have a longer prevent your skin aging markers like your wrinkles and spots and things like that later, in the later part of your life, rather than in the life when you want to kind of you know look good and feel good. So yeah, so that's
Perfect.
what
So both my colleagues told that the level of research is either reversal or intervention. What Manoj, on the clinic side, what is the demand? Because the reversal or even intervention, especially in the skin aging field, is a long time. It's not like if you take a tablet, it will be tomorrow you will be very young. I don't think so it's possible. So what your aspects in those angles, because skin, either you want to be a prevention method or a delay method or the reversal method, is a long way to go, because you are really treating in a mid age or the age which is almost a 50 plus past. Then think about what you at the clinic can be, because both all of us pointed out is a modifications which are generally epigenetic can be possible to reverse it in a research level, but at the uh, clinical level, what you take home?
Okay. So I would divide it into two: the problems which have already occurred and problems we are seeing at the rise. Sorry to again come from aesthetic to clinical. One, what we always see is the age, younger age at where we start seeing this skin tag, acanthosis nigricans, the development of insulin resistance. So the first line I tell them, do you want to see me in the future, or do you want to see a diabetologist in future? So skin is mirror for internal disease. So it basically tells you that there is a scope for reversing things. So it gives, for example, you have xanthelasma palpebrae, your lipid profile, or you have acanthosis nigricans, or you have facial hair. So every marker is there, so that it's a warning bell for you. So that is something what I would say reversal. Reversal is kind of thing doable. I wouldn't say it is easy; it is doable. But maintenance of the state again is a more difficult task. So, for example, I mean, this is again, because, in my recent, last 5 years, where I have switched again from pure cosmetology, aesthetic, procedural dermatology practice to clinical dermatology, genetic skin diseases, where I see a lot of young children, my colleagues, where I walk in the apartment, I start seeing people who are like, okay, this is future diabetic patient, this is future PCOS patient. These are the things which, I mean, probably I might be overthinking, but this is something which is, I scare people when I see a black patch on the neck rather than I see vitiligo patch or pimple psoriasis, because that is even more lethal if I don't take care, because I have a chance to intervene then. See, for example, if you devise a molecule to reverse it, people will become lazy. I mean, what I'm trying to tell is, I'm on a very lighter note. So again, come to aesthetic practice. Reversal is something everyone wants. I would agree with Anita, ma'am. It is the first demand. Sir, can I grow this hair? Sir, can I get this wrinkle taken care? Can my under eye? Because they know already their problem statement is already defined. They want us to reverse it. So that can be done, based on injectables. We can do it in 7 days, or some surgery probably a month, or some change in lifestyle. It takes longer time. See, nobody wants to go for the longer thing. They want to have, doctor, can you do injectable? Doctor, can I get an IV shot? Can I do a chemical peel, or can I do a laser? So those are the things. Reversible is something that can be done. At the molecular level, I would agree to Gaurav sir's entire picture, but my own message was maintenance of whatever the state you achieve after reversal is a bigger thing to me. I mean, a huge task.
Excellent. So I want to continue in this line, because most of our audience are also looking for the possibility whether the skin aging can be reversible, or it can be interventions can be in terms of prevention or delay can be done on it. See that because the skin exposes, or skin is a reflection for both internal side and also exposes to the external environment, because it's a bipartition, right? Say that one side external factors, one side internal factor influence skin aging. So in those cases, so some of them are unavoidable, some of them are can be possibility to prevent it. So because in those cases the reversal becomes a very big challenge, because say that one side you cannot control environmental factors, but however you can control internal factors, like for example diet, or the way you maintain the skin health and all this stuff. So and then how do you handle it at the end? So you need to maintain well. So what I'll start with Manoj only because it's easy because he prescribes a lot of people how you want to maintain to keep in a healthy both inside and protect from external.
Okay. To be very honest, sir, half of my patients who come are patients whom have to, I've suggest more of a nutrition change only because dermatologist, yeah, we have a lesser coefficient of patients who need like critical care. See, for example, be it the inflammatory disease, we ask them to eat a lot of antioxidant rich food, psoriasis or vitiligo. And when it comes for acne, less high, high glycemic index food we have to avoid, and dairy rich products, milk and curd, something, I wouldn't if you can avoid bread, biscuit, whatever, you see in the bakery thing, that is pure dairy products. So it's not, people know that, even worst part is they know that doctor is going to tell this. Okay, it's not like something new, but it's to put it in a practice, it's difficult. And I always ask them to follow the 60-30-10 rule. 60% of your calorie, finish it in the breakfast, 30% lunch, 10% in the dinner. This is something we have been followed. Probably our parents, grandparents, they were making this as a routine for them. So it is on the specific issue I would always advise, because there's no perfect diet, I would say. I always request every one who meets me, don't go with that wheat. Wheat is good for weight loss. It's something you can really get good with java, ragi, which is least glycemic index. And you can always go for one bowl of sprouts, then little rice. You can't leave the rice. Increase the amount of kind of vegetable salad or so this is the basic things which I suggest. There's no like any magical recipe which I suggest my parents. And one more difficult thing to handle, I always refer it to nutritionist who can do. Yeah.
So if you Manoj talking about nutrition, then cosmetic industry has no value for Anita. So how do you define it now? Say that because only nutrition can make the change for signaging, then external agent has no useful.
Yeah. So no, so what I believe is that skin gets anything the last. Yeah, most of the stuff that you eat goes to all the vital organs, and therefore it's always less. The skin always gets less. So having a topical application of ingredients which are really important for skin's metabolism would be one way of getting the skin what it deserves. Sorry,
Yeah. Sorry,
you
ma'am.
want me to
I,
say?
I just focused on nutrition. I probably I didn't get a clear picture of the question. Topically, I would agree. Cheapest anti-aging things are sunscreen and moisturizers. Again, select your sunscreens well. Which is the component. I think Anita ma'am will be right one. The oxybenzone, ivobenzone, whichever it is there. As of now, it don't have major value. So select your sunscreens well. I think ma'am will
Yeah.
explain that. Cheapest anti-aging which we would suggest is moisturizer and sunscreen. Best one. Yeah.
Excellent. Gaurav, now we don't have any work to do because they already suggested that internal food is the one and external sunscreen are the moisturizer. So what we need to do for research reversal?
Mm, I mean, very, very nice point. I think one of the things which I just want to bring in another dimension, because we talk about the type of food one should take. 60, I mean, Dr. Manoj said, like carbs and then, the other components. Then we went to Dr. Anita. She was talking about the topical creams and all that. I think one of the, even if you see from the scientific point of view, Subha, like one of the things people are been talking about different pills, different things, even for the skin. I talk about the whole body systemic effect as well as including skin. One of the things which people have shown in multiple organ systems, yani model systems, is caloric restriction. And that is something I just need to cover in these regards. Because if you see classical work which was published in Science, two monkeys, same siblings, one under caloric restriction, other under ablatium, and you see the phenotypic effect, it's one of the classical works. Followed by that, people did it in worms, they did it in Drosophila, even not humans, but higher mammals, including the macaque I just showed you. Now, the idea is both the aspects are good, like taking the nutritious food. Mediterranean diet is one of them, which is very hot, linked to very nice with the microbiome and stay healthy, and the creams. But I think caloric restriction has a very important role in this case. Now, since you asked me where is the research goal is, like you think, the new stuff. So if you see the Western companies, like the pharma companies, they are into CRMs. We call it as caloric restriction mimetics. So what is this all about? You take a pizza, you eat it, you already took a lot of carbs, but you take a pill, which feels like your body is under caloric restriction. So these are called the new class of pharmacological drugs, which are called caloric restriction mimetics, because as a human and as a very complex nervous system, anything which smells good, looks good, our appetite, we want to eat it. So some people, I think Dr. Manoj might have, he said many of his patients know they are committing a crime. They know the problem, what Dr. Manoj is going to say. Now the thing is, and this is something the pharma industry has already recognized, like it's very easy to cheat the system so that the people keep on enjoying the food. So the research area is caloric restriction mimetics, designing new molecules, which you take pizza, you take burger, whatever you want to do, take a pill and let your body feels like it is under caloric restriction. So excessive glucose, it just passes out much faster from the urine. So that is something, a venue, I think, for research. At least something is pending for us. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So now we will turn a little bit towards before I ask for the public for a question. So mostly of the today's utilization of the either at the cosmetic level or at the pills level, whether these are all a temporary changes or going to be long-term changes, because that is important for the either by the utilizer or to the researcher to look at it in a longer term, because the age won't stop. The age will continue in our stuff, where the methods what we are following, either it's slowdowns or it's a preventive method. In those cases, whether at the research level or the clinical level or the industry level, whether they are looking at a longer term, because we mostly measuring is a shorter term. Most of the evaluations are done in a very, very short bowl to bring it back onto the market or bring it back onto the system. So how do you rule out that, whether in a longer term they have beneficial effects or not? So anyone can go.
So let me correct you there, Subha. The industry has a very extensive way of looking at these ingredients before they put it out in the market. There could be 16 weeks clinical to almost 1 year clinical just to look at the effect of the ingredient on the consumers, on the volunteers or subjects for the outcomes. Yeah, and there are extensive measurements that are done, visual, instrumental, questionnaire based, so as to ensure both the efficacy and safety of the molecules. But yes, for the cosmetic, it will have need it's a progressive improvement. You are not looking like a medical intervention, today you do it, tomorrow you see the effects. Sorry, Dr. Manoj. But we are looking at, because these are cosmetic ingredient with no side effects, so you're looking at progressive improvement in your this thing, and it would need a repeated application. So it's not like one time application you have taken care of. So those are the aspects that are basically built in when you are marketing these products for anti-aging.
So you covered anti-aging, but whether the most of the ingredients of the anti-aging, most of them are natural products, which I could guess it, or if you see the prescription on those ones. Why? Because those are all when they are natural and you are naturally exposed to them. Still, you need to have a more dose. Basically, I feel as a dose rather than a definitely it's a dose of vitamin C or anything, whatever you want to see. Why it's limiting? Because if the age is a factor, is limiting them to make or absorb them, or by adding more of the anti-aging can slightly prevent you in terms of stuff. So how industry is looking at it, that because the why I'm really looking at is engage, you don't require it, and old age only you require these products.
Yes, so from metabolic point of view, anything that is have been happening, or the mechanisms that are, or the processes that are happening in the skin over time slows down. So even if it is cell proliferation, if it is a skin repair mechanism, all those slows down, and there is nothing to kind of bring it back to normal. Yeah. So what the technologies and the ingredients would do is support this mechanism transiently, or for a longer progressively, to bring back these effects. Obviously, we are very familiar systemically also, certain require, you do need to start pumping in supplements because you yourself are not making, or you are not getting in your diet. Some of these vitamins are not available, so you need to kind of need to take the supplements. So those are things, the absorption, as you said, either the absorption or the effect of these ingredients or these minerals or vitamins goes down. So you need to kind of build on it. Yeah.
Excellent. So Manoj, I have a question for you, especially onto the melanins and their aging. So do you think that melanin can influence the aging or delay the age? So because you are unmute.
You're mute.
Yeah. So okay, melanin. I wouldn't say, like, melanin has. See, I would say melanin is a hero for me. For an Indian skin. But we see it as, I only get complaints about melanin, but bigger thing is it's a protective mechanism. In terms of aging, sir, I would say because of the collagen picture, yeah, there is disruption of certain area, because we do see idiopathic gutted hypomelanosis patches as we age, and they have already classified it as idiopathic. They don't know why. So I mean, I wouldn't be I don't know, sir. Like, melanin, how would I relate to aging? Yeah, of course, melanin hair I would relate. Yeah, I mean, of course, melanin, since it's a protective mechanism, oxidative stress takes a role here. Apart from that, yeah, with the collagen remodeling issues, as we all age, we get distribution of the melanin in that dermoepidermal junction, or as ridges. Yes, that's one thing which I would relate to. Yes, that is from my end.
So why I was asked was that because let's suppose the age factors, whether when you take internal factors, whether you have more melanin, have as a longer duration of the, means in terms of aging is slower down. So the reason why I ask this is that because your protective mechanisms are much more stronger in a dark context compared to a whiter background.
Yeah,
That's the reason.
Yeah, melanin, I would put it as the kind of environment they are in. See, in that way, see, for example, solar aging, chronological aging is something which we define. So photo aging, yeah, so there is acceleration of, in that way, if you have asked, yes. So yes, photo aging is one thing, because of sun exposure in the rural population. What I see, they always have the lichenification, dark skin, and photo exposed area, especially on all exposed area, they have hyperpigmentation, and the moment they take off their shirt, the protected area, there is something. So that's what, since it's a protective mechanism on all exposed area, we call it as an aging sign. Yes, solar aging. Yeah.
So at the end, both the beautification or the skin aging or the wrinkles all boils down to the molecules. Gaurav, you have any input on that? Basically, how do you get a good molecules for a good parameters?
You mean the one which can be applied topically, like on the skin, or you want something?
Yes. So
Okay.
I just want to know basically how the research, a problem is now in front of you, having a chemistry can be used to treat the either at the skin age level or skin pigmentation level or skin beautification level or skin lightening level. So there is a lightening is also very important now.
Okay, I think lightning, I have no experience, so I will not comment on that part. So it's better to be silent on that particular question. But I mean, Subha, one thing I think, since Anita is there, so one thing we need to understand, different, I mean, the one which we document in the research, like for example, for us, hallmarks are there. Now, if I can ask you, because you are a very reputed scientist, if I ask you whether the DNA damage is the most critical part or the mitochondria, then you will definitely say DNA, because that's what we are being taught like this. After, with our, like some of my projects with industry in cosmetic industry, their scientists, I think Anita will loud on it, so their priorities are different and their definitions are different from what is there in the hallmarks of aging. That was shocking to me, because that's how you always learn how industry looks into the same textbook, same terminology. Priorities are different. For example, for me, I have a cell, I want to protect its primary hallmarks, like the DNA damage prevention, the ROS levels has to be low. And this is how I basically think. Now, if you see the cosmetic industry, their entire priority is the loss of proteostasis. I mean, that, Anita can, epigenetics. So the point is, we are solving the same part of the problem, but our definitions are different, priorities are different. So, so your original question was like, in cosmetic industry, how the new molecules going to come. So the idea is, like with my experience from the industry, definitely is about skin. So what I learned is many of these molecules, your observation was correct. Many of these molecules are plant derivatives, which goes into the ingredients. They have cyclic structure, terpenoids, and all that. So many of them. This is what, and they keep on changing left and right, and they have different bioactivities. That is where I think many of the ingredients we are using. But the way forward should be to add senolytics, for example, because in fibroblast in the skins and keratinocytes, people have nicely shown if you target the senolytic molecules, not the natural senolytics, but even the chemical synthetic senolytics, that is going to be a game changer. That is point number one. So we just have, if you want to stay healthy, it's better to target those cells which are the culprits in the skin. And senolytic is one of those. And the second, so that is my first, I think, suggestion. We should have compositions. I think, even I am interested. Dr. Anita, do we have some senolytics, like synthetic senolytics in the cosmetics? I mean, that's my question.
So,
Sorry, Subha.
yes, so you are right. There are already a lot of literature which talks about how these senescent cells are appearing in conditions like aging and also in hyperpigmentation. Yeah, so absolutely agree with you. The next step would be, if you've identified this phenomena in in these conditions, then you need technologies which can work around those phenomena. There are literature again where people are looking at it, but this is a very new area. So we'll just watch how things are happening. In systemic conditions, systemic problems, they have already started exploring, senolytics, and it's skin. We need to kind of watch out what's happening there.
Since as a clinician, I just this is a problem statement. If there is an ecosystem where there are diseases where DNA repair mechanism is already defective, or barrier function is defective, can we compare these two pathways and then look at targeting those? For example, yeah. So where I was coming from was, we have xeroderma pigmentosa, which is a genetic disease where it is repair mechanism defect. So, I mean, this is an idea, I would love to speak on it when we meet. So, Subbarao sir, yeah.
No, Manoj, the point what I was raised was that because it's a dividing field. Basically, what they wanted, because the corporate industry wants very different, researchers wants very different, but the clinicians wants together.
What I was trying to tell is there are already model or diseases which there is a DNA repair mechanism defective. What are the pathways which actually are resulting for this, development of skin cancer or loss of eye? See that there it's happening in an accelerated fashion. Here it is happening in a very slow fashion. So, if we can measure those pathways where DNA repair mechanism is slowly being defective. It's already defective because of the genetic mutations. So, and then look at those smaller molecules or whatever, when Gaurav sir can help us to do the docking study for those pathways, or Anita ma'am can do, for
Yeah.
shortlisting those.
So
I agree.
yeah.
I agree because there are a lot of different mechanisms that have been identified related to skin aging. Ideal solution would be the best technology combinations, yeah, which targets multiple pathways. I agree. Some industries are looking at certain single phenomena, but we believe that, at least I believe that if you have a single phenomena affected, you may not achieve what you want to achieve. So how you can combine judiciously couple of different ingredients which affect different pathways, you might see a much higher effect than what you would get otherwise. And Dr. Manoj, there is a fine line between cosmetics and drugs, and this is where the cosmetic industry struggles. Yeah, so yeah,
And there is
that's
there is one there is another one, Anita. It's called nutraceuticals
Right.
supplements. So these are very these are same
that's
same but
another
different.
gray area, which
Exactly.
yeah,
Ma'am,
what
but
sits in there. Yeah.
making the
So
best use of those gray areas is when you apply those things on a non-abraded skin. So whatever you're applying on a non-abraded skin, you can always push it. Yeah.
so I just need to add one thing before I forget. So all this conversation reminds me of one of my professors when I was in Madurai Kamaraj University doing my masters, and I was I was a kid, never thought of working with aging, though my postdoc was 4 5 years in aging research in Max Planck. So he always used to say the best recipe for anti-aging is eat less, breathe less, live more. And now I understood after spending so many years, eat less means caloric restriction, breathe less means hypoxia, which people have shown very nicely, and you live more. So sometimes these small, and also it is also in our Vedic knowledge as well, so we never took these texts seriously. The more and more we are understanding the pathways, the more and more we are everything what was documented is panning out to be true. For
Excellent.
example, caloric restriction upregulate DNA repair.
Right. I agree.
So many
Perfect.
things are interconnected, and the best therapy is the interventions which work systemically, and you don't have to take any chemical from outside. That is the best therapy. Either it is
I agree.
topical, it is surgical. So our body has this healing mechanism. I think breathing and caloric restriction, that's what I vote for. So so this I wanted to
Excellent. No,
say,
no,
guys.
that is
Sorry.
it's a recent way of looking at it. But if you take in the olden days, the people eat more, but they work hard. That's why the eating, whatever you eat, they will consume. But we eat more, but we less work, which most of them are sitting and doing, right? This morning to evening. That's so there is you need to do something which is little hard because this is field work is very different compared to a knowledge and teaching work, which is very different. Anyway, so because we finished around 50 minutes, I just want to open it for the public to ask any questions. So, Anita, can you open up? Anita?
Yeah, what do
Anchita?
I do?
Anchita. Anchita.
Okay.
So, sorry,
Hello.
Anchita.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Madhu.
There was one question in the chat box. I'll read it out.
Sure.
So, considering anti-aging products, retinol and other actives have been used by many in several products without a prescription, thinking it will lead to cell turnover. How safe is that in the long run? Maybe Dr. Anita can answer. Yeah.
Yeah, so many of these ingredients that you're looking at for anti-aging, they do have multiple effect, and retinoic acid, I agree, has a strong effect on cell turnover. But remember, extensive safety studies have happened over the years, and this molecule has been there for a very, very, very long time. So both medical profession is using this ingredient, and some derivatives of these ingredient, because it has other issues, side effects as well, from in terms of irritation and things like that. So these are also the milder version, which are equally effective, which are used in the cosmetic product. So all these do undergo extensive safety assessment before these are put into market. So yeah.
Perfect. So
And
there
of
is
course,
a
it comes with other disclaimers, like it can't be had. There are. I am not very sure, but if there are somebody who is allergic or irritate, sensitive skin, they are asked to do a test before they use and things like that. But in general, these molecules are very well established and have been used for a long time.
correct. So there is a high hand from the Madhu Nagesh. So whether you can unmute Madhu, Dr. Madhu.
Dr.
Yeah,
Madhu, you have been.
thank
Yeah,
you
go
so
ahead.
much. This was a wonderful panel discussion. I don't know whether I'm seen. I don't think so. Okay, so I completely agree with Dr. Anita and Dr. Subra, whom I met at Longevity Conference. I'm a maxillofacial surgeon in Bangalore, and I also have an MSc in yoga. So something like ancient wisdom, modern science. So we do need more of ancient science nowadays. Caloric restriction is nothing but fasting, and the right thoughts and right emotions are nothing but the yogic lifestyle. So that takes care of most of the problems. But the problem is the patients don't want to comply with this. They want quick solutions, like Dr. Manoj was saying. So that's where the dilemma is. But if I had to do it personally, I would not put anything on my skin which I would not want to consume. It's like one of my dermat friends said, don't put anything on your skin which you do not want to eat. So because it gets absorbed. So on a personal level, I do yoga, I do facial tapping, I have a facial harmony method. I try to keep myself young mentally, and but yes, but on a mass scale, on a large scale, I think cosmetic products, safe cosmetic products, are the need of the hour, and expert panels like this can guide us as to the future. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Anchita, the text box, there are a couple of questions. Can you
Yeah, so there's another question from Dr. Sharmila. She is asking about hormone therapy. How effective would that be for reversal?
so any Manoj that are because hormone therapy is generally not.
I mean, probably, I don't have an experience. For me, hormone therapy would be like, we do it only for polycystic ovarian syndromes related. Of course, it indirectly is related to aging, but I don't think that is the question which they ask. Probably I might be deviating, so I wouldn't be the right person.
Actually, I also know that a lot of skin clinics, which is generally coming up as a commercial market now, they also use the hormone therapy for a temporary change, or it boosts the system of the immune system and gives a more of cosmetic in nature. But whether that is sustained for longer or has gained a lot of side effects, which is not been proven yet. But the approval for as a therapy is a you need to take care of because generally hormones has a transcriptional response. So that's why the most of the you make more transcriptional response means you are playing a DNA changes in the cell system. So it can change the system, but whether can be a positive direction or negative direction or neutral, which may not work also. So you cannot take that. That's the reason that's not had been a clinical market, but mostly in the commercial market, which is people are users. But I know from the aging clinics, which generally they do.
I would say, it's a very risky practice also, sir, to just leave it to the aging clinics. It has to be done under a hospital setup, because, you will be, dealing with many systems, and we shouldn't I mean, if I'll be the last person to try all this, because for me, the recent ones, for example, for hair treatment, there was some stem cell growth factor, which non-inhibiting growth factors were there. They was marketed for, no, doctor, you have PRP from the same thing, which you take it from the blood, you inject with no concerns, but this is going to have inhibiting, non-inhibiting factors. So many positive things were there. But I was the last person in whole of Indranagar to try that. But I'm happy. So again, coming to the hormone therapy, I mean, let's take it on a very cautious note. I'm not sure on how does it going to play a role in aging part. Yeah.
Perfect. Anshita, next question.
Yeah. So next question is from Vishal. He asks whether the phenotypes that we observe in vitro in senescent cells, whether they are the cause of aging or the effect of aging.
Cause and effect.
Okay, so it is effect of aging. When you see normal aging, you see a accumulation of senescence in the skin and in different organs. What we are seeing now is conditions like excessive exposure to UV or hyperpigmentary conditions like melasma or solar lentiginase. There is an accumulation of senescent cells compared to the non-pigmented skin. So whether it is playing a role, whether the environment, because the environmental exposures are what is resulting in excessive accumulation of senescent cells, we don't know. But whether that is the cause or is it the effect of all the changes that has been associated with UV exposure or sun exposure, those are the things that are being investigated. So is it cause or effect? That needs to be looked at. Yeah.
So my point in that angle is definitely there will be a huge change in the cellular system, especially in the telomere length and all the stuff, which is a huge change because it's just a natural phenomenon as cell cannot be immortalized as long as its stemness losses. Because as the stemness losses, then you lose the parameter of the division capacity. That's why the senescent cells accumulates as you go on age because it loses its potential of a pluripotency, what we generally call as. Anyways, that's good. Next question.
Okay,
Anshita?
question from Gaurav. He asks whether the collagen-based creams that we use are they really helpful in anti-aging.
Okay. So yeah, with all respect, it all depends on how quickly you want also. I say if you have certain months to wait, certain years to wait, and how do you measure whether it has helped at the patient level? So for me, it is about, if you can deliver some results. If you're asking me some suggestion which you can actually deliver some significant results here, skin boosters, what we call it as, which is a bioremodeler, which can be injected on the skin, which gives you, it is quite safe. Again, it's an hyaluronic acid. It's not a filler. Again, don't get confused with filler. It's a low molecular weight hyaluronic acid that actually blends well with the skin, and whatever kind of subtle anti-aging effect you want, instead of applying collagen for a longer time, that can be delivered. So this is how I counsel the patient. Instead of telling I don't know, I just tell this is the better way. Which you can actually see some anti-aging changes within a period of say 10 to 12, 14 days, and it will stay for 6 months. So that is the time at which it starts getting integrated with your skin. Yeah.
So I'll take the last question. Say that any specific de-aging food to consume for adults? Some by Sanchita, right? Sanchita, that's the question by the answer.
After so much of discussion on caloric restriction,
I think Gaurav sir will be happy, with his research question. The food which has calorie restriction mimetics.
Okay, let me, to be honest, I mean, I just give you, so we are working on this problem. That's why I also bring it up. So you will be shocked to know there are up to now, like, AI is not a magic. AI is just learn from the patterns, whatever people say. The more the data you have, the better is the understanding. And unfortunately, if you look at the bona fide caloric restriction mimetics, there are only 13. And out of these 13, only the 3 works very best. So the answer is, it is very hard to identify first the molecules which are really caloric restriction mimetics. So it was a very beautiful review article. It was a prospective back published in Cell in 2021 or 2019. So they cataloged all the pathways. What could be the potential pathways the CRMs can be designed? And we have been tracing CRMs like from the last 4 years, even in our own lab. The maximum we could get is 53. So in any world, you can't learn anything with AI if you just have a cocktail of 53 molecules. Doesn't matter which algorithm I can apply. So the answer to your question is, CRMs are there. They are very specific. They are not generalized. They also, the ones which are working as a CRMs, they also have a toxicity effect. So they do CRM function, but they also accumulates in the body and can have some side effects. So all in all, this field is very fascinating. So we are still very far away from getting the CRMs on the pharmacy shelf. Yeah.
Due to lack of time, I'll close the open questions, and then before closing, I would like to ask the participant give a conclusion statement to the audience, which is from your side. Start, Gaurav. Conclusion statement. Say that you want to give some conclusion statement in terms of skin age.
Oh, okay. In terms of skin age, okay. I think I have already done that. Eat less, breathe less, live more. That's what I think as a professor, our lives are very tough as well, like doctors and everybody. So the thing is, what I personally do on myself is I do intermittent fasting. That's what personally, I have a very bad lifestyle, don't ask me. But the only thing I can do myself is I don't take this junk food, and that's what I am doing myself. So I don't do breathing exercise, but I will recommend everyone, not something which I invented, but it's well documented. Eat less, breathe less, and live long with a glowing skin. Thank you. I just gave the last.
Thank you. So, Anita, give
Yes.
some conclusion.
Yeah. Just to add to what Professor Gaurav said, be happy. Yeah. So don't stress, and that could also help in keeping your skin healthy and youthful. Yeah.
Manoj.
So I mean, social media is good for everyone, but take it as a pinch of salt, and please seek some expert opinion. I mean, there's no expert basically. There is no magical skin care. There's no magical anti-aging thing. If you ask me, doctor, have you done all the things what you are prescribed? No. So have you used sunscreen? Do we need to use sunscreen 3 times a day? No. Once at least is enough. So all those things, don't process too much. These are things that more than everything, what like Gaurav sir said, that those 3 things are more important. And like Anita ma'am said, happiness is more. See, that is a golden rule, no doubt about that. But since we have so much of knowledge, just to open a thing, now doctors have come into Insta where they're educating. So it's like, which to everything is right, everything is wrong. Ultimately, you have to take what is necessary for you, not what is good. See, it is not the greed that we have to be answered. It is about need. And aging is not that something cannot be denied. It can be delayed only. So there is no permanent thing. So be happy, relax, and do your basic things. As a ancestral rules, what we have been taught.
So with this, I would like to close the section. I would like to thank Gaurav, and Anita, and Manoj for wonderful discussions. Thank you all participants. Also, thank you for silently listening. Sorry, we couldn't take some more questions because it's already past more than 1 hour now. So we would like to close it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.